Okay, I am going to call this city council workshop to order. It's Tuesday, March 11th at 6:30 here at the City Hall Council Chambers. And I'm going to have you all join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. And Councilman Wheelock is going to do our invocation tonight.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful for the opportunity that we have to gather as a city and city council and discuss those things that are in our city's future. We're grateful for the opportunity we have to live in this city and for the amenities and features that it provides to us as we enjoy working together to improve it and to make a better city. We're grateful for those that have set the seeds to have us to this point, for the heritage that is in Star. Please bless us as we go through this meeting, that we'll be able to get the information that we need and we'll be able to communicate effectively, that we'll be able to understand the future and the goals for the city. We say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. All right, roll call.
Wheelock,
Here.
Hershey,
Here.
Salmonson. Here. Nielsen.
Present.
All right, everybody's here and present and accounted for. All right, just so everybody's aware, tonight we're just talking about, we have a workshop. It's not a council meeting. It is not one that has any current applications on it. So we won't be discussing any of the applications that are out there, the mixed use building across the street, all that, just so everybody's aware, okay? It's not a public hearing. The council can't even discuss it or anything. This is talking about our central business district discussion tonight. Sean's going to lead us in this discussion about our plan. And then just so the audience, there's no questions and stuff to come from the audience on this. It's a discussion up here amongst us. I will ask Ryan to get a sign-in sheet so we can get who's here tonight from the citizens and stuff, please. And we'll just kind of go through this. I know we're going to lose Councilman Nielsen partway through it. So if you see him get up to walk out, he's not quitting or anything. He's got a family obligation like at 7:15, and then he'll be back after that little obligation, just so you're aware. Okay, on that. So with that said, I'm going to turn the time over to Mr. Sean. Here, speak in your microphone. Oh. Yeah, just so everybody's aware, I'm glad you said that. I just want to make sure everybody in here is aware. Any active application that we have, the city council cannot speak to you about anything. They can only speak at a public hearing and hear you. If you have questions about a certain application, you're always able to talk to staff. And you put them on the table. Ryan just put his cards on the table, and you can schedule a time to come in to see him, and then he can answer whatever question that you have right on there or give you more information on that. That's legal. This is not legal. These guys are out of touch and that's just the state law. That's our Land Use Planning Act that requires that. Okay. All right. Well, you are legal, but that's not legal to speak to you about those items. All right, Sean, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council. The reason I wanted to have this workshop is as staff continues to get inquiries from the development community on redevelopment in the downtown area, and we start getting larger and larger projects. Staff's gone through the comprehensive plan and our 2011 downtown revitalization plan, and there's just not a whole lot of direction or guidance or vision for staff to really know how to respond and direct the the public and the developers, accurately. And so I thought it'd be nice to get the vision from the council and discussion going as we continue to grow. Sorry, let me get back here. Okay, so our current comprehensive plan, our land use designation for the central business district is defined in the comprehensive plan, and talks about planning for a vibrant downtown center for the community. Uses encouraged are commercial, retail, civic, private offices, and entertainment. High density housing is encouraged on the upper floors of mixed use buildings and at the fringes of the land use designation. Developments in this district are to place an emphasis on pedestrian and bicycle access and compatibility. So pretty broad. Other policies in the comprehensive plan relate to the central business district. And just so everybody knows, our central business district is basically the entire length of State Street from Plummer to Canada on both sides of State Street. Then also south on Star Road and Main Street down towards the river. So and then a little bit to the north, about to Life Springs Church. That's the northern boundary of our central business district.
Yeah, I just so the public's aware. So this is what the comprehensive plan looks like, the front document of this. You can actually get this on our city's website under the planning and zoning department. There's a comprehensive plan section. It shows the map. It has this data. It has a south of the river plan, all that information. Okay. So it's all available on our website.
So within the policies of the central business district in the comprehensive plan, it points out several items, including mixture of commercial uses. It addresses the high density residential. Talks about Main Street a little bit, going south from State Street. It talks about a little bit about transition from existing residential uses. It talks about that there's farm animals within some of these larger 1 acre lots along Main Street, for example, and trying to figure out how to keep that compatibility. Just talking about Main Street. Talks a little bit about traffic calming. It mentions horseback riders going down to the Boise River. Also talks about private partnerships. Talks about and then in G there you can see it refers to our 2011 Star Downtown Revitalization Plan. I don't know how many of you guys realize that we actually have a plan for revitalization of our downtown area, and it was written and adopted in 2011 by the council.
Sean, I have a question,
Mhm.
if that's okay. Does any of those numbers correlate to anything in this packet that I should be aware of?
The packet that
The 8.5,
no, that's right out of our
Different.
comprehensive plan.
it's
Well,
not in this.
what I gave you guys is a copy of our revitalization plan. Yep. Yep.
This is separate.
It also states that as part of the policy, as recommended in the 2011 revitalization plan, the city should create an urban renewal district to simulate development within the CBD. That's going to be a later discussion, much later discussion, and probably another workshop to talk about that. We'll get some professionals in here to kind of explain the pros and cons of the urban renewal district, but that is within that plan. It's also within the revitalization and the comp plan. City encourages assemblage of small properties to redevelop. And it does talk about a big box commercial in the central business district and the maximum allow square footages within that district. Okay, so just a little history. So in 2000, the city adopted their first comprehensive plan and land use map. And that is it right there. As you can see, Star was very, very small at that time. Ryan, do I have a? This was basically the city limits right here, which I actually drew back in 97 when I worked for the county. This little red area right here is the central business district. So recognized back in 2000, that first comprehensive plan recognized that central business district. It was revised again in 2007, and for some reason, the planner, not me, took out the central business district and changed everything to a commercial future land use designation. 2015, it was updated again. You can see the area is expanding quite a bit to the north. We also recognize the area that was annexed into the city on the Canyon County side and showing those future land use designations. And then 2019, when I first started here, we did a major overhaul of the comprehensive plan, brought back the central business district designation, expanded it quite a bit further than that original downtown area right there, all the way from Plummer to its current location at Canada Road. The comprehensive plan just also showed our impact area going all the way out to Lansing Lane in Canyon County. And then 2020, we actually brought that line back to Kingsbury, which is where it is currently at today. And our current plan is the 2022 adopted plan. And then a blow up of that, again, you can see the purple area is the central business district land use designation. That doesn't mean that all those properties are zoned central business district, but if you are going to rezone and develop it, you would have to rezone to the central business district. If you have an existing zone, obviously you can enjoy your property and develop it within the zone that's currently on your property. And then this is our current zoning map. And so the brown areas are the areas that are zoned. So the properties are actually zoned central business district. So we've got this brown area here. We've got the area over where Ridley's is, the area up where Norterra, I almost said Inspirado, where Norterra is, Stonecrest, and a little bit over here on the corner of Star and State. And then down here on Main Street and Star Road, got an area here that someone rezoned to the central business district. Now, we did some research and realized, because the mayor's been getting some questions from the public, when did my property get rezoned central business district? I was never notified. So we went back and we realized that when the city was incorporated back in 1997, the county actually designated that area in the center downtown area as that central business district zoning. And so those properties were zoned when the city incorporated in 1997.
And I just want to, so you can go on to the Ada County Assessor's website, pull up your address and actually see what your property is actually zoned as. It'll tell you on there. So those, I think, is it First Street up there?
Yeah.
The next one, I think the properties from State to First are also in CBD. And from First going the second and stuff are different, right? They're residential. Yeah.
Yep. And this map is on our website. And then this is just an aerial showing the central business district. That's the lines that were on the comprehensive plan that I put on the aerial right there. So again, it shows a little more detail there. This is the 2011 downtown revitalization plan that I spoke of that was adopted by the council March of 2011. And while it does a good job for the 33 pages that it has, it really, again, does not give a whole lot of vision into the type of structures, heights, anything like that. It really establishes some goals that need to be further looked at and brought into our comprehensive plan and then into our zoning ordinances. So again, this is that in 2011, this is that basically that same central business district area that was recognized in that 1997 comprehensive plan. That's that small area right there. And then some of the details in the plan include the vision of the plan is establish Downtown Star as a unique, vibrant, and accessible retail center that serves area residents and entices visitors to stop. The plan is intended to serve as a long-range working document for guiding local downtown revitalization efforts that mutually benefit the city of Star, property owners, business operators, residents, and visitors. And then it finally says, this plan is intended to provide a foundation and direction for that pursuit and to act as a living document that can be refined and augmented as implementation progresses. The one thing I have before the transportation committee is that we're gonna hire a consultant to update this plan, do a downtown mobilization plan and parking plan. I think it's time for us to get serious about that, to kind of figure out, how we're going to continue to grow in our downtown area. So the revitalization plan talks about parking a little bit. Talks about, actually, this is kind of funny. It says, it talks about how in 2011, the plan was to restripe State Street down to 3 lanes. Eliminate the street parking, making the acquisition and construction of public parking areas essential for downtown revitalization. As you know, we're starting to widen our State Street. And then it gives a little more vision on public plazas, preservation of history or historic structures, and off-street parking, public parking. So that'd be parking lots, attractive storefronts, mixed use new development that provides business and residential space. So it really, again, it talks about parking a little bit. It talks about landscaping. It does all that, but it doesn't really talk about land uses, and it doesn't talk about like heights and the bulk of buildings. It doesn't really go into transitioning. So as we develop in the downtown, especially along State Street, just a block or two over, you've got existing residences that have been there for a long time. And so how do we treat those folks? How do we transition to those land uses? Especially when we get active applications, in front of us to review. When's a good time to start? When do we start looking at downtown parking? All these things we need to talk about and kind of figure out as we move forward. Go ahead.
When did we get an airport zoned? Every 15 minutes, the plane's landing.
So one of the strategies is to, public parking lot, create off-street public parking areas downtown. Could be accomplished as part of a civic plaza construction or as partnership with private business owners and developers.
So, Sean, what's the goal of this meeting?
Goal of this meeting, I'm going through what we currently have, and then we're going to discuss vision and try to, get some, direct staff on how to move forward. What you'd like to see come back.
Well, and it may
you
take a
and-
couple meetings to figure this out anyway. I mean, this is a lot of, I'm sure that we're all not very familiar with everything that's transpired in these areas down here over the last 20 years, right?
I gave each of you a copy of that revitalization plan. Take it home and read it. Fall asleep by reading it. It's quite dull, but it's something that has been completed by a consultant. It's been adopted by the city. We're getting active development applications to review. We need to start really thinking about how our downtown is going to continue to grow. So I want to open up the discussion with everybody. Get thoughts, ask questions. of me, of, Ryan Morgan, our city engineers here. Victor's here, our fire marshal. A lot of this, this redevelopment, you got to take into consideration existing services, sewer and water, existing facilities. You got to take into consideration public safety. Parking obviously is going to be a very big discussion item. As we redevelop some of these properties in the downtown area. So let's just open it up for some discussion.
Anybody want to provide some comments or anything? Ms. Jennifer?
My first thought is that, looking at our current comp plan map, that central business district, that's a large area and it pretty much covers, all of our commercial area along State Street and down Star Road. And so, I'm wondering if maybe we pull that back a little bit for our CBD and make it more, just make it smaller so that we can focus on, creating those public spaces. And it's not all the way down by Albertsons,
Right.
that we have a city, like a plaza or, just kind of help narrow down our CBD area. So that's my first thought. I don't know if that's something that we would do in a workshop like that, or if that goes further out into the comprehensive plan.
So we're going to be updating our comprehensive plan this year. So that's a great item for discussion when we look at the map again, because we'll relook at densities. We'll look at some land uses. That's one thing we could look at is, if we want to shrink this back, because remember, we're from Plummer all the way to Canada, but the majority of these properties over here are already developed. There's only a few larger parcels that are in the CBD west of Center that haven't been developed. It's really this area right in here, basically from Center to maybe Knox, that we really need to pay the most attention to, I think.
To me, those are the areas that we probably should focus on. The other areas are expecting commercial. They were built with that designed in. From Center to Knox are the ones that were thrusting central business district on to me.
Well, but it was established as central business district at the time.
It was taken on and off since then.
No, I'm saying that it was given the designation, an actual zoning designation, not a planning designation, but a zoning designation of CBD.
Sure,
And so that's where it's at today.
sure. But some of that challenge to me is if we look in our own document, Main Street needs to be studied, provided for special care, development, understanding the rights and consisting of existing rural use residential lots are not to be infringed. And to me, that's what we're trying to do, is develop what's available without infringing on what's there. That happy medium, what's that look like?
So as you know, over the last couple of years, we've seen a few projects on Main Street and Star Road, the Milled Olive rezone and development, the Red Barn Inn, the little motel or hotel, and then the Keeley Electric live work development. So we're starting to see a few of them here on Main Street and Star Road. But again, if you look at this zoning map, these are all the parcels that are currently zoned central business district.
Yeah.
Even though most of them are residences.
Yeah, I understand all of that, but it's the infringing on what's there with what's available to be developed. And there's that that's the balance that we're talking about when you talking about heights and down the commercial corridor, either direction, was not unaware that that was going to be a commercial in front of them on State Street. Here in the core, some of them have lived here since before this was a city.
Mhm.
And that's to me the sensitivity. Once they've changed hands, it's to me a different aspect. And that's the way I look at it is what are the impact? And they still ought to keep their development on their property if they're developing, in my opinion. If you're asking for what to talk about, what's the impact to other areas inside the city limits?
When you say once it's changed hands, then that's a different story.
They're not surprised that the city's there, right? They bought in a central district. If you've owned it since way before it was city, maybe that's to me and maybe it's just me, but that's to me a different.
I'm not following
Version.
what you're, I get that we don't infringe. And I mean, that's commonplace. One property can't develop and then affect the use of a neighboring property. That's
So what
standards, but so where are you going?
is how do you not infringe on the residential look? What's the transition look like? Right? The transition is a 55, 60-foot story 55-foot building to a one-story residential lot. That's a pretty dramatic change. And transition is a big brick wall. So what's that transition look like? I don't know. So I
So
think that to me is something that is to be discussed. I think that's why we're here.
sure. But I also need to understand where you're coming from. So somebody buys that and now they have a CBD zone that, granted, it's a conditional use permit, but it could go up to 60 feet in our CBD. So they buy that with the expectation that they can then plan and build accordingly, or at least come to us with an application for that. So how do we treat, and I don't expect an answer unless you have one, but I think it's part of the discussion. How do we then treat the new owner and their rights on that property? And so that it's not infringed by the current properties.
So in our own documents, this
Yeah, you're talking about
no,
the
no, we got a
farming.
new place. I've got more documentation for what I feel. The city should encourage assemblage of smaller properties where appropriate.
Mhm.
So maybe that's what we're trying to do, is figure out what that looks like. I don't know.
Well, that's
I'm open to the discussion. I understand.
You're saying that when it's saying assembly of smaller properties, it's like grouping them together for one project.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what you're, okay, as long as we're on the same page, okay.
So that if you're asking what my thoughts are, how do we help that person? You can financially help them to make other choices if that's going to be infringing on them. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, it feels like we need to be really clear about what the definition of infringe is, and maybe we need to ask Chris to chime in with the legal.
He's not here. He's
Right.
at a different meeting tonight, yeah.
That's okay. We can
Okay.
he can chime in later, but the way I understand it is if you can no longer use your property for the zoning that it's allowed, that's an infringement. Outside of that, I'm not sure how to define an infringement.
You write that down?
Mhm.
Ask Chris. Okay, we'll get a question, answer.
And
From
with
this
that,
side.
I need to step out. I hope to be
Yep.
back in like 40 minutes.
Shots fired and I'm gone.
No shots. We have understanding. Or at least we're getting.
Okay. More comments? Is for Wheelock
Well,
or Jennifer?
sure. You know, for me, it seems like we are still, we are trying to create a, a central, active community gathering place with lots of different things going on. And, we're still a very young city. And so, we have this area in our town and this development and growth that's happening all over around us. And so how do we blend the current landscape and the history with this incoming growth? And it's very difficult. For us here tonight, I would love to hear from like the residents right there to see. I know that.
But we can't do that
we're not
tonight.
Doing that tonight.
I'm just going to tell you that would have to be at a different meeting. If we do some changes, there's going to be community input, all that kind of stuff that's involved. Right?
And so I guess for this smaller area that we're looking at, maybe we do focus more on making that more of a like historical
Well, so I just,
area.
okay, so
And so then we have a gathering place that could be vibrant center. Maybe it's not right here. Maybe it's, somewhere else, but not right here in the center.
okay, so I'm not going to try to piss people off. Just bear with me here for a minute, my conversations here. There's a plan that was made, put in place for the CBD in 2011 that outlines what they wanted to do at the time. For 20 years, we haven't had any interest in the city of Star. Now we have interest in the city of Star. Star has become the hotbed of where everybody wants to be. People moving here, people wanting to bring business here, and they're trying to follow a plan that was designed in 2011. So what good is a plan that was put together by the citizens of the city of Star, the administration at the time, the Economic Development Committee and stuff, if we're not willing to even look at this and we're going to continuously change it? I'm just saying, hear me out on that, right? A plan is for you to create. Star has never had the opportunity to be a city like other cities, right? We're still infant, like you said, right? We're trying to figure out how to get this downtown figured out. Cities like Meridian, cities like Nampa, cities like Middleton are all now, they've had what we're trying to get. Now they're trying to adjust and update theirs, right? So how do we get there? It's going to be painful for people. It's just going to be painful. I mean, I've been here since 1993 in Star. I've seen a lot of the change that's gone on here in Star, right? It's painful. How do we figure out what does that look like? Are we willing to stick? If we spend money and effort on an updated plan, are we going to be willing to stick to that plan and administer it, regardless of what the size of that CBD district is going to be? Because again, the citizens at the time did put information and product into this thing, right?
Is it a live document or is it not?
It's a live document.
Then I guess we still have the ability to adjust it as a
We can-
live
we-
document. That's what I'm saying.
Well, it could be adjusted.
So if you're
Plans are
talking
made
about,
to adjust,
I understand that.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Maybe we adjust.
but we gotta, I guess we just gotta be looking at all like our comp plan, everything, get everything in line and in order so it can develop in an orderly fashion, so it's not chaos,
Agreed.
right? I mean,
Agreed.
that's the whole reason, for instance, I'm just gonna bring the architectural overlay district where we did Mountain Modern. Because when the businesses were coming in, it was just whatever the hell they wanted to do. And we decided, no, we wanted to dial that in and say, listen, you have to follow these features. Well, we need to figure this out for our CBD, right, area and determine what we want to do in those areas. I mean, and it's community input. When we did the comprehensive plan, we had over 1,000 people help out with this in the city of Star at the time to help develop this plan. There was 1,000 people that provided comments on what this plan looks like, which people are buying properties and trying to follow this plan. But we're creating a lot of resistance to something that the citizens really put a lot of effort into on here. It took us a year to build this thing, right, and update it. So we just got to be willing to stick to the plan and make modifications a little bit as necessary, but understand what our true vision is going to be as a city as a whole.
Part of our conflict, councilmen, women, is that you've got a major highway running
Right.
through our downtown, right? And it's only going to get busier and busier, and especially once they widen it to 4 and 5 lanes all the way through, which hopefully will happen soon. But you're also got to remember we're losing access points along that. We can't every small little piece of property can't access off of State Street, which is why there's alleyways in the back. And so we got to look at, okay, what's appropriate up against a 4 and 5 lane highway that can be a prosperous commercial. Then as it transitions to the north and south, you know, you're gonna have to start somewhere. You're gonna have to start with some sort of use, and it might not be compatible right now with some of the uses adjacent to it. But I guess the question is, when is it going to be compatible? If you're going to wait for the people to move, they're not going to move until there's development that makes their property more valuable where they can sell it. Does that make sense?
But compatible is what we're after. And with Kevin not here, I can use the word infringing on the other neighbors, right? What I would consider as infringing is different than what he would consider infringing.
No, and you're right. Everybody has a different opinion on that, and that's okay.
So, and I'm good with that, but with all the interest in locally between Knox and Center, I don't know if we can say that we've been here long enough to see things we didn't want to see happen again and seen things that we did want to see happen again in some of those local developments. Some with not enough parking and they're offensive to their neighbors. I don't want to be a part of that again. I was brand new when I understand what I saw happen, and I'd like to learn from that.
I agree.
Some are a little lower than you'd like to see them set against the highway. That's something that everybody's trying to improve on. I'm just suggesting that what may be in the future needs to be looked at with a transition both to the 5-lane state highway and to the neighbors that are behind them. That's it. I'm not against any of it. But what makes sense? I'm for this being a live document and us living up to that verbiage that they put in as well.
I'm going to say, it's 14 years is a long time, right? In the history of Star that this was done. It's probably a good idea to put a consultant together and open this document back up and get everybody's input on this thing and get this updated on what we want to see as a community, right? People that live there everywhere, right? And that may be
They're
something.
all awake now.
Well, that's good. I mean,
Right.
it's good because
I
it's
agree.
important, right? I mean,
It
it's
is good.
important for us to figure this out here for our community because it's changing. Everything's changing, in our area. And with 3 state highways and this Highway 16 that's going to be punching through here pretty quick, that changes the game for everything, for all of us. Because it makes it an easy, accessible city right to the main freeway throughout the valley or throughout the state. So my suggestion is that we can beat this to death here tonight. We're not going to get anywhere. That we get a consultant thing. Ryan can work on getting a consultant thing together on this, and Sean, that we bring to the council to approve so we can start working on what this looks like for our downtown area.
Yep. And that would include parking.
Everything.
All of it.
Mobilization.
The whole shebang.
And that way, everybody that's sitting out here can be involved with that discussion on what this is going to look like.
And then as it moves forward, so be it. Let it
Yep.
ride.
Yep.
I'm good with that. Totally good with that. I would like to see the citizens involved
Okay.
at that level if that's an option. Because
It's
because
definitely,
if we're going to call this a live document, let's use it.
this is
But-
the city's plan.
But please, hey, Stephanie, please read the document in its entirety because it tells you how many citizens participated in that study.
At the
There
time.
was like 300 folks that participated in that review. So there was some good input from
I'm
the
not
community.
discounting this, but I'm saying things change. We just talked about all the changes that have happened. I'm just saying
Yeah.
things change.
Oh, no, I agree. I agree. But don't take it light. This wasn't just thrown together. I mean, there was the Keller actually put it together. Sent out several questionnaires, had open houses, and got that input. So that was the basis for that 2011. So yes, can it be updated? Sure. And it says right in there, that's why I highlighted it. So it's a living document. So it can be improved on, definitely.
And just so we're all clear, this can be a 6, 9, 12-month process.
It could be as fast as we want it to be done, with depending on how much you're willing to pay.
I've been here 30 years. I'm ready.
I'm ready.
But
we
part
have-
of it is public open houses and getting
Exactly.
community
Yep.
input.
Right.
Well, you get it.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
Can I chime in?
You can't chime in at all.
Well, real quick, and I want to share a personal, I want to share an analogy of this. So I coached high school softball for 12 years. I lost a lot of friends because their kid didn't make varsity as a freshman, or because their kid didn't start. Their kid didn't get to play the number of innings. My goal and my task was to put a winning team on the field. We have a plan for our downtown area. And unfortunately, we're going to make decisions that are going to mean not everybody's going to be happy. And we may lose friends over it. That's the unfortunate thing. And so as long as we're willing, I think it's fine. Remember, we also did a central business district as part of the south of the river as well. So that also is, we've also had fresh eyes on this as recently as just within the last 5 years. But as long as we restudy it, that's fine. But we have to be committed to, if we have a plan, we have to execute the plan. And if that means that we're unpopular, then so be it. But we can't just come back and say, the plan's here, but now we don't want to infringe, I'll use that word, on anybody. Because if this is our vision, and we have to be brave enough to execute it. If we're not, we need to scrap all of the central business district. I mean, that's just honest. That's the flat out honesty. If we're not brave enough to execute the plan, then we have to scrap it. So once the plan's in place, we need to be able to move forward. And I'm going to tell you, it sucks. I lost a lot of friends because they thought their kid should have made varsity as a freshman, or their kid should have been starting. And it sucks, but it's unfortunate we have to make those decisions.
Okay. So the direction, no decision, is for staff to
Yeah, we'll get.
I just
consult.
want
and
to add,
get- You go ahead.
first off, I have one friend and he's a cat. All right, so
That hurts, Dave. It
And-
hurts.
I can see you losing friends for the record. I just want to. Here's the thing. I'm not arguing the validity of this and the effort that went into it. However, if I want to fix my car, I don't go to a 14-year-old manual either. It has to be updated. And
That's what I drive as a 14-year-old car, so
there's always that one guy. Well, my wife's car won't work because that thing's got more in it. Long story short, yes, it needs to be updated. Take it off the life support, bring it back and get it going. But I have nothing I can add to it right now. I just don't even know where to begin. So you're looking for
it'll get,
direction. Yeah, let's start with a consultant and we already have a parent intro. We already have I have two friends. Well, I'm going to lose one here soon. But, if I
I'm gonna just tell you, you're in this position, you're never right. Because someone's always mad at you.
yeah, you're,
Always. It doesn't matter what side of, you can go, it's always somebody's mad at you.
this job is
That's right.
measured in degrees of loss.
This is a 27-year-old city.
But yeah, so let's get consultants. Let's get who we need because I'm the wrong guy to tell you what we need. I don't have visions like that. I need someone to tell me what it's going to start looking
Well,
like
it's,
so I can
and it's
start
not
going there.
us. I just very clear that this is not the city council's plan. This is the city's plan.
That's
This
what
is the
I just
plan by the
said.
citizens, everybody that's involved on what this city's gonna look like. And we gotta make sure that it's updated correctly for that. And then, like Ryan said, then you gotta execute the plan. You gotta be willing to execute a plan, right?
I'm fine with that if the plan's up to date.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. We're gonna
Yeah.
update it. Yeah.
That's it.
Yep. Okay, cool.
Interesting though, the average salary is
I
star.
would like to get out of here before Kevin gets back, just so he's lost.
Well, in 2009, our average household income is what it is today for the nation. So we were doing okay.
Are you guys good with that?
Yes,
So we're
move
gonna
on.
get staff, Morgan?
Yeah, I think it's really important that we get like this plan, it does have some great things in it and a lot of input from the residents at that time. But that was what, 13, 14 years ago. And so we need to involve them again. And there are going to be some hard decisions. But we have to do it.
And at the same time, Sean, we were talking about the CBD and stuff, the comp plan. We doing that ourselves? We don't need a consultant for that, or do we wait for that? No, okay, all right. Well, we do keep that. We're probably the only city in the state of Idaho that updates this thing on a yearly basis. This and the code.
How many cities are growing at our rate?
There's several, but not like us though. Not as proactive in things here like we are. Okay, cool.
So maybe for the public to stay, keep watch.
Well, and it's important. Did you get a sign-in sheet? Is it, so make sure your contact information is on there so we can reach out to you to be helpful with this process,
Yeah.
right? On there. Cool? All right.
Take the card in the back. And if you
Sean, we doing
have any questions, let me know.
the next piece?
Yeah, I think.
We're going to talk about the local improvement district stuff. Yeah, they're here. No, they came in.
Yeah, Brian, can you put that up? And
No, you can't leave. This is part of the plan. I'm kidding. See you later. Thank you for coming. So everybody understands, so this is the Inspirato developments up on the top hill. As you're going, I'm sorry, when you say top of the hill, when you're going south on Star Road, it's on the left, right before Chinden. Okay? So we're talking about what's called a LID, a local improvement district on that, which is a way to finance and fund some like the bridge improvements and stuff like that through specific taxes to that area.
The double.
So, oh, come on, you can't get bored of that already, right? Again, yeah, I did. This is not there's no decisions or anything being made here. This is just a discussion. Everybody's fully aware of that, okay? All right, John, you introduce it or anything? Okay. See you guys. Thank you. All right, Inspirato.
Everyone.
Oh, you gotta turn it on. You don't have to talk loud.
Green light, perfect.
Green light.
Well, I appreciate it, council, Mr. Mayor, staff. We've had a few past discussions, but appreciate your guys' time tonight just to hear us out. We're excited about the progress of Inspirato. At the same time, development is expensive, so wanted to bring up just a quick LID discussion. I know it's the first one that the city would do, but just wanted to have, a continued discussion. And
Right.
so,
We discussed this before, right? You
yes,
brought it to the city one time, right?
we did.
Oh, Randy did. Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha. All right.
And let me jump in real quick. Taylor and I inherited this development about a year ago. There's a different developer on it. Things have changed quite a bit. As we inherited the project, we kind of took a different spin and different kind of viewpoint on the development. We really focused on the commercial side. The residential side, we see as a widget. We have a bunch of great builders. We're really going, being very picky about the development and how we want to make it very high end, but I'm a commercial guy. I'm the developer over on Orchard Park, which is Chinden and Linder. And I've kind of learned through that process. I inherited that project also, and hoping taking my experience from there to here. We want to really fast forward. We love the Chinden Star Corridor. We believe our commercial piece is awesome. And I think part of having a successful commercial project is speed. Orchard Park, if anyone knows over there, it's dragged on for so many years. I got brought in and
Is that the Winco side?
the Winco side.
Okay, all right.
And so we're trying to fast forward that a little bit. That thing's been in development since 2008. And learning from the past, learning from how that developed, taking that experience.
You need to update your plan.
Yeah, Brittany needs it. So
Doesn't have a plan.
there was no plan when I walked in. And that's kind of what happened here with Inspirato. Randy I have nothing against Randy, but he's a residential guy. He's not a commercial guy. The commercial piece, when we inherited, was kind of it was listed for sale. They wanted to get rid of it and just whoever buys it, let's see what we want to do with it. I'm a commercial guy more. And I really looked at the opportunity that was available over here on Chinden and Star. Great site. Get a great anchor in there, but doing it right. And right sometimes is about speed. You can't build Winco and wait 3 years, then build another shopping, little pieces. A lot of it is getting your site work done, getting a lot of the infrastructure done, so you're ready for some great retail. And I know that, we've worked with you guys quite a bit, and, retail's gonna be, for the city, the tax dollars from retail is gonna really help fund the city. And we're happy about that, and we also want to play into that in the sense of, that's this, and what Taylor's gonna explain to you is helps us speed it up. And I know the previous group came in and kind of cried broke. If you don't do this, we can't get developed. We are no way saying this. We will get this done. We have the finance to get it done. It's about speed. We want to explain to you how this LID, how we see it. We don't want to impact the citizens. We don't want to impact anyone else. Taylor's going to explain the mechanics of it and what it allows us to do to build the bridge. There's going to be new light on Chinden. There's the water tower. We had drill for the whole drilling with Star Sewer. There's a lot of infrastructure that came with this development, and we're happy to do it, right? Because we have to improve the infrastructure so we can allow the citizens, allow the people to kind of access our commercial site. So I just want to kind of preface it is that this is a discussion. This is not life and death for us. I know that the way Randy presented it was, we need to get this done. We have to get this done. We'd like to get this done. It just helps our timeline. And Taylor is going to explain to you how we see it play out.
Okay.
Perfect. And I kept this pretty straightforward, pretty high level, because this is a workshop. If we want to dive in to the granular details, we will at a later date. So what is an LID? LID stands for Local Improvement District. It's an alternative financing mechanism that are used by developers, builders, and sometimes cities too, to build public infrastructure for the use of the public and its constituents. Like Tony said, it would be used in Inspirato's case for roads, for bridges, for signalization, potentially for the water booster station and the well that we need to do that'll service future commercial and fire. It'll also potentially fund wet utilities and dry utility construction that is upsized above and beyond what you would typically expect for a residential and commercial development.
Is just for the commercial portion, right? Or is it for the rest of the residential?
It's for the benefit of the entire community. But I think I know what you're asking. It's the burden of the cost. We would be on the hook for that. I think, we've heard you guys loud and clear that on the incremental tax side of things, the city doesn't want to burden residents or any residents of the city. And so we will structure this to make sure that residents don't see a nickel of increased property taxes as it relates to the LID formation. So,
And I'm just going to clarify again. When they talk about this is just for that area up there. It's not the entirety of the city.
correct.
The LID. It's just that specific project area that would have that. So, okay.
That's right. Just really quick, there's two reasons why we're here. Tony mentioned speed. There is an incremental cost difference between, so this is a financing mechanism, right? And so essentially the way it works is you use the land that we own, we are developers of, as the collateral, and bonds are sold. And so the interest rates on those bonds are actually significantly cheaper than what traditional construction debt is in today's marketplace. I would say bond financing is 7 to 8% versus construction debt, we're probably at 12. And so, there is a monetary formula. It's part of the equation here. And to Tony's point, the second reason why we'd like to do the LID, it allows us financing to go expedite the construction of these significant infrastructure projects. Like the signals, the two signals that are required for Inspirato. One is off Inspirato Drive and Star Road, the other at Chinden and Sunset Springs. Both of those are around $1 million to build.
Is that the Hawaii storm? Is that the connection to that, right?
Close to that. It's where U-Haul is going?
Yeah.
That's where the light's going to go.
Okay, because Hawaii storm is supposed to come straight down to that.
Yeah.
right? I think, right?
I think it's just, yeah, street names are different,
Okay.
but same location. So reinforcing, we would agree and guarantee that there is no increase to residential tax bills across the board, not only for Inspirato, but, you know, I think LIDs have been seen in the past as, oh, you know, it's an increase in tax, right? And we're here today to guarantee that that's not the case. We will bear the burden, and, you know, pay off those LIDs when we do sell lots to builders, and then bear it on future land that we own, right? The LID is formed for Inspirato as a whole, and we can burden the land that we own today, but we can guarantee that, you know, when those lots are sold on the residential side of things, those liens or those increases in property taxes are fully wiped from those tax
They won't
bills.
have a 30-year obligation on that.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. The next slide is we've kind of already discussed. Again, it's why use an LID. It's a cheap financing mechanism compared to traditional construction debt. Number two is, you know, we can go float bonds to unlock a significant amount of capital to go expedite some of these major infrastructure projects. Like we discussed, the traffic signals, the expansion of Inspirato Drive. We've got some major wet utilities and dry utilities that are required to attract commercial tenants. And we've got a couple large expenditures as it relates to the bridges that are under construction.
And every dollar we get from this frees up our, let's call it our piggy bank that we would have spent on this for the commercial piece. There's site work that needs to be done. There's a lot of infrastructure within. I look at the perform as one big bucket, and we're just adding more dollars in that bucket that allows us to do more. Now, do we have the money to go pay for the bridge? Yes, it's earmarked. Do we have enough money to pay for the light? We do. The more we spend on the infrastructure, the less we have available to us at a decent rate to do the site work and the commercial development. So again, I just want to make sure everyone's clear. It's not that we don't have it. It makes it easier for us to expedite the process.
The way we've been funding currently is through land sales from the residential portion of Inspirato. So we go and finish lots, we sell those lots to home builders, and we use proceeds to go further improve the project. Next slide is just a quick map that shows kind of a few of the improvements that we potentially see as LID funded. Along the Star Road, you've got the bridge and the traffic light
Or the bridge right there.
right in between Inspirato and Star Point. Number 2 is the Phyllis Canal Bridge. Number 6 is the water campus. 4 is just the extension of Inspirato Drive and some other backbone infrastructure that reaches into phase 3 and phase 4. And 5 is that Oahe traffic signal. 3 is the Star Road Bridge. Sorry, 1 and 3 are kind of, I just didn't want to put them right on top of each other,
They're
but
together, right? Isn't that where's that signal going?
Inspirato Drive and Star Point
Right
is that
there.
intersection right there.
It's the bottom one, right? Is it 1 or 3, Taylor? It's right here.
It's right there. See where that traffic signal?
Yeah.
No,
It's the Star Road Bridge.
it should be squeezed. 3 should go down about 6 inches to the.
Kind of over the canal.
Yeah. And yeah, it's not the scale.
Thank you.
And so I think part of this was just to open the discussion up. I know that when this was brought to council maybe a year or 2 back, it was we had the opportunity to talk to Councilman Nielsen, kind of explain to him kind of what we're thinking. We want to reopen up the discussion, see if there's any questions, direct questions, how it works functionally, and get direction. If you guys are still at a point where like, we don't want this, we don't want you guys to bring this through, we understand. And if it's like, hey, let's have a discussion, explain to us how it works. If we can make you guys generally comfortable with it, we'd love to, put something more formal together.
I think the biggest hang up is burdening people with that extra tax for a long period of time.
Correct.
Right? How is this not going to burden the commercial side so you can actually be successful with getting commercial?
So my goal, and Andre couldn't be here today. He's the majority owner of the site. Is we want to develop the commercial and retain it all. We're gonna, and just so you know, the
Oh,
goal.
you mean so lease out the,
Yeah, so kind of what we did at Orchard Park. So we have a lot of people who want fuel, and fuel is going to be, we're going to sell the land for fuel. We have lots of people asking about fuel. There's a credit union that wants to be in there and an anchor. We're working on anchor right now. Very excited about getting, hopefully we can get the anchor, but we're in talks. Once we have those three key components, and that's what happened in Orchard Park, we plan on, and our goal is to go build all the commercial and lease it out to every retailer out there, not every, like, the select retailers, and then retain and be landlords, own Inspirato and make Inspirato our project. We don't want to sell off the pieces. We only will sell pieces to finance if we need to finance the construction. The goal is to own this forever, and be able to, as businesses will come and go, release it, get new tenants in. And that's always been my goal, is to not merchant build, which they call you build it and you sell it, is to actually build it and own it. And, control the retailers, control the flow, have more, because I don't know if most of you met Andre. He really wants to make Inspirato a special place. And we've doubled the budget on the plantings in phase 1. We've doubled the budget on the monument. The clubhouse got 50% increase. Was a double. And I'm more of a numbers guy, and I'm sometimes trying to hold them back. I'm like, I know this is really nice, but we don't have to go too nice. But he really wants to make this kind of a family thing and retain as much of the commercial as possible. So as we are investing into the infrastructure and the look and feel, it's because it's for selfish reasons, because we want to make sure that the value and the profile of Inspirato commercial is there. He's building value into the commercial, for full disclosure.
you have a question, David?
Yes,
Go ahead.
on everything. I really do not understand anything you just said, and this is why. You say it's not going to burden anybody, but it's going to go to the commercial to pay for it, basically. But you're saying you're going to own the commercial. That doesn't make any sense. You're going to lease it out how? Higher costs or what? And also, in order to get any money back on the commercial to lease it out, all this has got to be done anyway. I don't think they're going to allow you to move in until the improvements are done. That's usually how it goes with residential.
Absolutely,
So
we have to do the proof.
you're making 0 sense of where this money is coming from. I'm
So
not seeing it. I'm not understanding it. I don't need a more complex version. I need the LID for dummies, because that's what I am.
sure, and look, great question. And a way of looking at it is lease rates are market lease rates, and we can only charge what the market will bear. And we can't just say, to cover our LID, we're going to charge an extra $10 a square foot or $5 a square foot. The value of the per square foot price isn't determined by us. We can ask for a price, but the market determines the value. We will yield market value for this space. And the reason why we want to improve it and make it nice is because the nicer it is, like for Orchard Park, we're getting $45 triple net a square foot. That's completely commensurate with the $6 million, $5.5 million library that got built and everything that got put into it. You get out what you put in. If you build a regular strip mall, you'll get regular strip mall rates. So to me, it is a zero-sum game in the sense of, yes, we will ask for higher rents, but we have to go pay to make the development nicer. Yes, we're going to burden ourselves. It's going to cost us more, but we can only bear what the market will give. We don't get to decide. We're going to pay it. It's a loan, so we're going to pay it off. No, they're bonds. So Taylor, if you can go.
Essentially, yeah. So
What he's saying is, if you're holding on to the commercial,
We would like to.
yeah, and you have this bond out there that you have to pay back,
Yes.
how are you collecting that money to pay that bond back by owning the commercial?
So maybe we can word it differently. If you look at the bond like me going to a bank and borrowing money, and I go to the bank and say, hey, I like to borrow some money against this property. With that money, I can speed this up and go spend it all. I still owe the bank the money. They're going to charge me interest rate. There's a carry rate, and I still have to pay off the principal. It's just a funding mechanism that's available because we can use that money for public infrastructure.
Okay, so who funds the bond?
So there's
Go ahead.
high net worth individuals, pension funds. I mean, municipal bonds, essentially any institutional capital allocator buys these bonds because it's,
To invest.
Yes.
Yeah, investor.
They want the return. They want the 7%.
They do.
Well, the 7%.
it's a better, I mean, it beats the market.
So-
typically, right?
You guys are gonna have, basically, you're gonna take on a 30-year obligation to pay that bond back with your lease rates and stuff that are gonna be on that commercial side then.
It is a 30-year bond. I think both of us would agree that these bonds, it's in our best interest to pay off these bonds too, rather quickly, right? I think 7% interest, 8% interest is still expensive. But it's a way, it's again, cheaper financing than traditional construction debt. And, you know, it provides another bucket of capital for us to go and build these improvements versus the way that we've been funding these improvements now.
Yeah, I know, I see what you're trying to do. So, under no circumstances, any of this cost gets bared on the fire. I mean, it doesn't pull anything out from, it's not like an URD.
Zero.
Completely different.
Zero.
right? We're on the opposite spectrums here.
We are burdening the land that
Yourselves.
we own ourselves.
But then the administration of that, the city would get reimbursed for because we have to be part of that.
We're paying for it.
You're paying.
We pay for that. Yep. And it either, you know, it's paid up front or it gets allocated.
We're not obligated. We just have to manage it from our end.
You basically, the city's involvement, you need to form the district and then you need to administer, you need to basically collect. We can't collect taxes to
It's
ourselves.
collected through the county.
And then you need to distribute those funds to the bondholders.
It's very similar. For Orchard Park, we did something similar. We did it was a STAR agreement. We expanded Chinden, widened Chinden, and used a sales tax bond. So what happens is that bond was sold to third parties, again, a muni bond. We took the cash to widen the roads. And from that project, not like this one, we took sales tax dollars that are generated from the development to pay off the bond. Because they know that if you look at like lending in general, lending is usually based on collateral. You know, if I'm going to loan you $1,000 against your $500,000 house, I know I'm safe because your house is worth way more than my $1,000. And then that rate's cheaper. And so for us, we're basically collateralizing our development to get, and they know they're going to get the money because it's eventually coming through the development and through the other situation with sales tax.
So I just want, so everybody's clear on the STARS program this is not.
This is not STARS. I'm sorry to bring that up.
No,
Just
no,
a similar.
No, it's a good point because the STARS program is not eligible here because that's on the state highway improvements, right?
Yeah, we could have done it if we widened Chinden.
For White Chinden. And it retains the sales tax that's collected within that property goes back to pay that off on the STARS program, just so you guys are aware. I think it's a $6 million minimum
Yeah, and it's a
Cost.
maximum like 35.
and it's maximum 35 million.
Yeah.
So that's why that does not apply to this project, as there is no state highway improvements. Because I was going to ask you the question if we can utilize the STARS program on this one.
I mean,
but
there's a little
everything's been
improvement,
done.
but not enough.
Yeah.
There's a little improvement, but not enough. Yeah.
Okay.
And for me, you know, I was a finance major, and everything goes on a spreadsheet. It's your yield on capital, it's your yield on fund, how much it costs to borrow. Even real estate is, you know, you invest as much as what your return. I know it sounds super cold and, you know, not artsy, but this is just another way of us getting some cheaper than traditional money to allow us to kind of move forward faster. And once, obviously, there's a discussion. Once, if it's a suggestion of, hey, guys, sounds good so far, but give us all the details. That's when we come in and do a full-blown presentation of how mechanically it works. This goes here, this pays here, this is, you know, the district gets set up, and this is how it's going to mechanically work. Obviously, we're not fully prepared for that. We just wanted some general feedback from you guys to see if this is a possibility or not.
So when you say it speeds up the process, like what timeline are you talking? Are you saying like it cuts off a couple of years of like the putting the infrastructure in, or is it less than that, more than that?
So I'm going to give you a long version of that of an answer. Is there's so many factors because it comes down to our lot sales too. So for instance, if we are very, very successful and we sell, and right now I feel really good about the residential market. A lot of builders are very excited. We have a lot of interest in Inspirato. Let's say we sell all the lots and all the homes in Inspirato quickly. That alone speeds up our process. Now, If things slow down, right now, I feel like interest rates are moving lower, hoping. If they don't move lower, it's all market based because there's so many factors, right? Because we have a high density piece, we have so many pieces. It's 124 acres. So as you can imagine, there's residential, we have a couple high density pieces, we have a commercial piece, we have a mixed use piece. There's just so many things in play. Now, if everything sells really great, we'll probably come back and say, you know what, we don't need the LID. Everything's sold, we have all our cash, we're good. Because we don't want to borrow money. If things slow down, I want the commercial started. My goal is to start commercial because I really feel like we have one of the best sites in the valley. With Highway 60 coming through, and all the developments coming around in Sperado, I really, really do feel that this is going to be one of the better commercial sites in the valley. I really, really, really feel that way. With the access to 16, it's incredible.
And it's done right with a half mile, not access everywhere.
So,
Eagle Road.
so whereabouts is the residential to here already?
So we have phase one complete, and phase one is not fully built, but we're finished with phase one. We have two. Go ahead.
Phase 2, we are getting close to finishing these lots right here.
Yeah, so we're routing the plat for
And we are-
recreation in the next 45 to 60 days.
We have started doing construction civils for phase 3 and phase 4, and this is where we stop right here.
So we have phase 2 spoken for. We're working on phase 3 and 4. It's a lot of land. It's a lot of lots. I mean, not for like a Corey Barton. It's not big for him, but for more independent guys, it's 192 lots. It's a lot of lots, and that doesn't include our couple high density pieces that we still have to to develop.
So you're halfway through the residential lots then?
We are technically
35%.
Yeah.
35%.
Well, the reason I ask about the timing of it is I'm a little hesitant because of the current stress, in our transportation. And so I feel like if we put some mechanism in to help speed up, this commercial area, it's just going to add more stress on our transportation network. And we, like looking at Star Road, when that's going to be widened, like this isn't part of that project. And so, just putting more cars on Star Road with this large commercial area, I don't know if
Well,
I'm in a
we-
hurry to do that.
Well, but we've already planned for that to be done anyway. I mean,
Sure, but I think she's saying speeding
Right,
up
speed
this
it up through
pushes
this.
that on to Star Road before that's a 4-lane road.
Sure, and
That's what she said.
that's a valid concern. And if
get it.
traffic is the biggest concern, not slowing us down on purpose, but going slower, we want to get done faster than shorter, obviously, because we have carry costs, and I really feel like these developments take a long time. If we're starting the process of platting it out. By the time we get a layout, an anchor, we're probably 3 years before. I'd say 2.5 to 3 years before you'll see, like, let's say, shopping there. It's a long process. Now, if you still think that's too quick, then I understand that. I've done many developments in Meridian, and my biggest hurdle always is traffic. And it's the residents come out, the neighborhood comes out, and my answer is, I'm sorry. There's no great answer. We are putting in a roundabout on McMillan and Black Hat because that place got really busy. But it's the problem that Idaho's going to have.
don't talk roundabouts to Kevin Waylock.
Sorry.
You're going to lose some of us.
Okay. Okay.
I like 'em.
Meridian Lab, they work really well. I hate to say it. We did a lot of studies. They move cars.
I have a question that's not traffic related because trust me, we know. What damage could happen to the city if we go into a massive recession or something? Things just stop selling. I mean, it sounds like we administer the fund, just administer.
That's it.
So we have-
He's not financially on.
There's no
So we have no
City.
liability. It's
No
what I'm.
exposure.
So if you don't collect enough money, you just don't distribute enough money. That's it. You're just taking
The
it.
bondholders, the land that we own is the collateral, and the bondholders come after the land.
The collateral.
So if we do this, could we set stipulations in there because you can't do it without us? Like, get those bridges in wide, because if they widen those bridges on Star, the rest of it's easy.
Yeah, we are widening the bridges.
Yeah, I think.
Star
that's the
Road
big-
Bridge is under construction.
We plan on having that done by summer. Taylor?
Give me some contingency there.
I see stuff moving around.
It's gonna
Yeah.
happen. It's gonna happen. We're-
So, just real quick, if the LID were gonna happen, it's gonna be not on the existing ones that are there. So it'd be kind of chopped up like that, right? And go around and up this way, like.
You're just saying the land that's the burden,
Yeah.
right? It's the commercial, right? We still own the commercial and this little piece right here.
High density.
And for a very, very short amount of time, right? Because we've said we'd pay it off when we sell
Basically
land
phases 3 and 4.
to builders for a very, very short period of time.
We're hoping,
Hopefully.
we're hoping to close, I mean, we have interest, but we're hoping to close 3 and 4, get it done within 12 to 16 months.
Yeah, the reason I say short period of time is, what we're promising is when we do sell land to builders, we will pay off any lien or burden on these lots.
Okay. Or we're not making a decision. You can't make a decision.
No, I'm just trying to get my head straight on it. It's very new to me, so.
So ask your questions that you may have or not. So just so, I mean, we can't.
When
make a
is
decision on
Highway,
that.
when is Highway 16 supposed to be done?
Highway 16 slated to be done in the spring of 27. However, the contractors are telling ITD that they're probably going to be done in the fall of 26. Early. You can believe that? Early project.
Are they going to open any of it before?
No.
Man,
So they're gonna open it when sorry, going off topic, but I'm curious, the interchanges, are they waiting for those to be done?
There's quite a bit of, I mean, they're pouring a lot of concrete right now in between and I don't, it's going to be, you're going to see in the 26 probably before we see a lot of that happen.
because I
The
think
state is also,
our traffic, I really do.
what's
I
that?
think that's going to shift our traffic.
Yes.
Well, it is. And so there's going to be more work being done on Highway 16. The state, if they approve the additional 60 million over the next 3 years to ITD, that opens up another $1 billion worth of bonding for them, which allows them to do the flying Y style at the end. So you'll see more construction by the freeway and do more work going that direction.
Yeah, I think technically it's 3 phases, right? They have
It's 3 phases,
phase
technically.
1 completion, then they're going to actually redo it again. And then at the very end, the final phase has the flying circle. It's going to be a full blown freeway.
Flying circles, that they're calling
I don't know.
Oh.
Flying wise is the
I just made that up.
technical term.
That's so much.
The circle of the
air.
The one at 84, they're
Right
calling
here.
it the Flying T.
Flying T. Any other questions of these guys before we
I don't know what to ask other than what I did, so I need to see
just
more.
digest a little bit?
Yeah.
And then we can have a discussion.
It's interesting, I'll say, and I like the fact it's not going to burden any residents anywhere.
Yeah.
Because it's hard enough to buy a house.
Here's the deal. You don't have to make a decision for them to decide what they do. They could always ask.
Oh,
They have the right to ask. Just because you say no doesn't mean they don't bring it to a council meeting.
I'm
to
not
ask, 'cause
saying
it
no,
has to get
I'm saying
approved through the
yes, I'm just
council.
saying,
Yeah.
I'm just glad to hear certain things.
I would love to hear we hate it, then we don't have to do the work to present it. Or maybe they won't do the work.
What are,
If you hate it, just tell me you hate it.
questions? Because I'm still interested in that down road.
You can ask all sorts of questions on that.
So
I mean, you can ask that for the
for the saddlery, when's that
Yeah.
road going to
Yeah.
be done? That
The
was
road
part
to
of
the
the
south.
Oh, yeah, we've been working with Rick.
I'd love to see that move forward so that that was,
that was supposed to be done.
he was told phase 1 originally by somebody that's no longer with this
Yeah.
project.
Sure.
And I
I don't
like to see that move forward so that it's no longer a topic of
And
discussion.
I don't know if you've been talking to Mr. Bean at all. We've been out there 3, 4, 5 times. Gave him lots of interesting options and we have open communication with him. He's got our numbers and, we're giving him a lot of different options because we offered him, we want to bury that power line and I know that affects him. We are working with him actively. We're not making decisions in a vacuum. We're not ignoring him. And hopefully, I'm assuming you know him.
Quite well.
Everybody knows them here,
The-
so.
The power line you're talking about burying is in Mike Crane's way.
Got it. Got it. I don't know if last time you talked to him, but I hope he gives you good feedback about us because we've been trying to work with him. We have open communication. His wife. We offered him a fully off the grid power system, right? And at our cost because of the power line. I think he was somewhat interested. His wife said no. So we're like, okay, don't have to take it, because we want to find alternate solutions. It's not just one way of doing things. We understand he's there already. We understand he's getting served power. We understand he needs a road. We get that. And we plan on doing all that.
So you guys know, just super high level, we are working on it. There's something that needs to be done because he lives right next to a wetland, that if we do something before somebody says you can do it, we're in trouble. He's in trouble. So we're actively working on it. We have to unfortunately go through some
That's right.
bureaucracy and
Butch Otter will tell you all about that.
Yeah.
So is it possible to leave out that residential altogether in the LID?
Yeah, absolutely. We can leave anything out. It's the more collateral, the more you can borrow. So yes, we can narrow it down to 1 acre. We can make it the whole thing. My argument or my presentation would be, it's still going to function the same way. If we put the residential in, we will put in the documentation that when we sell those lots, we'll pay off the liens, pay off that portion of it. Because during the lot sale, we'll have income, and that income we can use to go pay off that portion. So it's like,
I hate to make a comparison to a different city, but Eagle has done this at Valnova, and they're called special assessment bonds, where they are required. It's a lien that needs to get paid off when there's a transfer of sale. So when it gets sold to a builder, it's just automatic. Essentially, it gets paid off, and that lot is free and clear.
At the title company?
Yeah, because
Kinda like-
one question, because like we're told a lot of stuff, and it may change, and so like your intent of paying it off, but if
yeah,
it
then we change. our minds.
changes, yeah, exactly, then it's like, well, wait a minute, that's not what you told us.
But we can put it in the agreement.
Absolutely. And it's kind of like a home loan.
Development agreement.
Yeah, when you sell your house and you have a loan, you have to pay off that loan.
So you're looking for definitive, I would still lean to cut the whole residential out and just do the commercial from my point of view. And then it just eliminates the wonder about that.
And
Even though you can put it in the writing, it's still just
So what would be the
step that doesn't need to be.
benefit of- What would be the benefit of keeping the residential in there?
Yeah.
more money.
More bonding capacity, right?
So
Right,
that
there's
you can
value to
borrow
the
more.
So
residential
you can
lots.
borrow more to get the infrastructure done.
And yeah, to A, borrow more, and B, we just don't know the exact timing of when they will sell. Right now, our forecasts are housing market's great. I think earlier we talked about everybody wants to be in Star Seams, a really hot market. I feel like we have a great site. So I'm super optimistic that we'll sell them in due time. Now, I'm always budgeting for the worst case scenario. If we don't, we want to get commercial. I think commercial is still going to be very strong with 16 there. And this allows us, because I would love the opportunity to make the argument why I would love to include the residential, because I want to show you just even through title, even through the processes, that there's no way we can. Now, I've done quite a few developments. You got to get it in the development agreement. You got to get it in writing. A lot of developers will tell you a bunch of stuff, and they don't have to do it unless it's in writing or it's in development agreement. Yes, and I've taught that lesson to a lot of neighbors, because people will go out there and make a bunch of promises, and if it's not in the DA, they don't have to do it. So I always say, force the developer to put it in the DA. And this is a situation where if we do present to you, we will show you the mechanisms. We'll show you why we're beholden to this, whether we change our minds or not, we have no choice. And we want to at least the opportunity to show you. And if you still don't like it, I get it. We have to take out the res, but I want at least the opportunity to show you. And then we can bring in experts like from title or from whoever third party that you choose to kind of say, yeah, this is how it's going to happen. We're a title company. This is how it gets paid off. If we structure it this way, they have to pay it, right? Instead of words from us, it could be a third party, non-interested third party, not someone we hire, obviously.
So what happens in a scenario where, let's go back to, if you can bear it, 2006, 2008 timeframe.
Ouch.
Lots here in Star, some of them went down to $3,000 or $4,000 a lot. At that point, the value isn't there to pay the bond. The value of the property is lower than the bond. So what occurs in that scenario?
Just like if you own a home and your home value goes to 20,000 and you can't pay it, the bank takes it. But in this,
Using round numbers, I think the bond per lot is going to be between $6,000 and $15,000.
Yeah.
It's not going to be, half of its value today, or even a third, or even close to that.
it's more like 5%, 5, under 10% of the value of the lot. So yeah, I mean, I get it. I was there, and you said those words and my stomach turned, but yeah, sometimes it's not even the value is no one's buying anything. The value is almost effectively zero, right? It's not like, hey, if I could keep lowering the price, somebody will buy it. There's times in this market where it doesn't matter what the price is, no one's buying. So to your point, sometimes the value technically is zero. There's no market. So
And in that case, you can't pay it.
correct.
And so whoever buys these bonds,
Yes.
is that the bank?
No, they're usually investors.
I understood.
Essentially
But-
functions as a bank though, right? They would go and foreclose and then they would take title.
Yep.
That's not gonna happen.
That's exactly right. I was just going to say, if we got construction financing on it, it
They
would
take it.
happen the same thing. It would just happen quicker because we're paying 12%
Yeah.
instead of 7.
Right.
It's the scariest part.
Sorry, any other comments for these guys?
What position would the bond, since we're talking worst case scenario, what position is the bondholder? Is it first position or third position? If it's all going back to the bank?
That's a good
It's a
question.
good question. I make an assumption, but we don't have any other financing on those lots right now. So I'm assuming they would take first position.
We have one small piece that this would take care of. We have one with what's it called, the doctor.
As long as it's not the Star,
Yeah.
City of
Correct.
Star.
Well,
We have
if
that.
we're distinguishing
Yeah.
between the bondholder
But
and
the
the bank,
bonds
the
won't be
bank's
on
in
those
first
lots.
position, the bondholder's in
Sorry, my bad.
City,
somewhere.
city
else.
turns into a buyer at some point.
Definitely closer. It's wireless.
City does, you say?
If it's $3,000 a lot, city's probably a good buyer.
Me too.
I'll pay 4.
I think you've heard what they kind of, it's up to you to decide what you want to do, but you kind of heard what they were talking about with the residential and all that kind of stuff, so.
And I'm assuming we can present it, and if you guys don't like the residential conversation, you say, hey, we approve it if you take this out, right?
You could.
Okay. You can do a approve based on these criteria.
Well,
Okay.
I would be interested in including it as long as it is taken off when the property's sell.
Explicitly written
Yes.
into whatever agreement that they get paid off when they
Right.
transfer.
Okay. And part of our formal presentation, we understand the concerns. We'll address them individually, and we'll give you as much documentation, third party. We'll work with the city to see what we need to present to make everyone comfortable. That's our job, right? To make sure you guys understand it, and here's the reason why, not just because we said so.
And so what would be the cost to the city to administer the program?
0.
Nothing.
We're responsible for that.
Oh, so,
Yeah, so we don't, so whatever costs are associated with it be wrapped up into that cost of that,
okay.
whatever that may be. We don't know. I
Uh-huh.
don't.
Mayor, is that just like an impact fee, right? We're like for the fire district, we pay administration fee to take
Yeah,
care of
right.
that.
Yep, like an administrative.
There's like
And
a
then you put that
T&M
into
fee
the
for whatever
program.
the city's billable hours are, and that
Yep, that's a good analogy there.
We're creating jobs in Star.
by the
So
way,
it's not
build
gonna
a fire
add
station with that.
like to city's staff, time, effort, anything. It's,
So-
But we'll pay for it.
Well, but I
Well-
think this is where we'll find out if the counties collect the taxes, we don't collect any taxes. So is the county paying that, or do they send us a check and we pay it? I mean, I don't know what that looks like.
The district will collect its own taxes and you will be the administration of the district. So I believe
Well, we don't collect anything because the taxes are paid. If it was a tax, this is where we got to figure this out, because if it was a tax, it gets paid at tax time. If it was, they don't pay us a separate check at tax
Right.
time. It would go to the county. You see what I mean? The cities don't collect any taxes here. The Ada County,
But I think it's its own separate district, and I believe the district does collect.
well, that's what we need to,
I will, yeah, that's a quick,
because we've never done this. We've never been a part of anything like this, because that makes a difference on staff time. And I mean, it's a once, oh, well, I guess it's anytime it sells or whenever you pay it off, right? And then the monies go monthly or whatever.
Yeah, he brought up Valnova. I had a fairly extensive conversation with Eagle Sewer District just last week. And they talked about, and we went over, because of other developments going on in Star, we wanted to get their opinion on, from the sewer and water district side, how they went through some of this, and they talked quite a bit about the bond and they call it a CID over there as opposed to an LID. Only difference is instead of a local improvement, it's a construction improvement district. So there is some staff time that will be needed to be allocated to this because somebody's got to track this. With at the Eagle Sewer District, they are doing a lot of the tracking because it built their infrastructure. In this case, most of the infrastructure that is being built is ending up being ACHD's infrastructure or ITDs with the lights and the bridges and a lot of that. So how does that impact city? We're obviously going to be involved, but it's probably less so than maybe some of those other agencies that are trying to make sure that their improvements and their bills are being paid. There's little to no improvements that the city's going to end up owning when this is all said and done.
Wasn't that water tower and the booster? That's the city's.
The water
Sewer
tower
and
and the
water.
boosters, the sewer and water districts. I've got other questions about that because my understanding is probably 60, probably even as high as 70% of your obligations for that are paid for. You're not paying anything for the booster station or the tank. You're only paying for the well. And the wells, you've already paid 406,000 of probably the 700,000 that you do for that.
Don't we have to pay for the drilling too? Thought that was part of the budget.
Don't add cost.
Well, I'm not saying I want to add it. I just thought we were responsible for it.
We can have that, we can have that conversation off.
Okay, well, yeah.
I think we do have to drill the second well.
Yeah, because I think the first drill, we spent 3 or 400,000, came dry, and then we had to go drill again.
You have to finalize the second well,
Yes.
which is, yeah.
And we have to pay for soft costs too, right? Our portion of engineering and design.
Potentially. It's a good question.
Or maybe not.
Why don't you figure that out offline? 'Cause that doesn't impact the
Sorry.
city. That's your deal. That's your other job. He's wearing that shirt
I
today,
ain't
so
wearing that shirt.
that's okay.
Still your other job.
So-
I will say Valnova is a CID. They have three members of city council on their board.
Oh, that's right, because that
The-
will be part of a
An
board.
LID does not require that. And we can certainly roll up some form of cost to have that third party so that it doesn't take away from staff time. And we'd be happy to pay for that.
Yeah.
There's a little bit more flexibility, I think, with an LID. Again, I'm not the expert, but we have people that can fully explain this and really break down what it's going to cost, how many hours they budget for city time, and so on and so forth.
And if you bring it forward, it's gonna have to be very detailed
Yeah.
for anybody to approve it, right?
Of course.
Based on what these guys are, their questions and stuff on there, so. Cool, anything else? Councilman Nielsen, anything? Can't see your head over there.
No, sir.
Okay, all right. Cool, anything else from you guys?
I guess we're going to probably put an application in unless someone,
Yeah, you could talk to Sean. and-
okay. I just want to make sure that, we're happy to do the work yeah, we're going to do the work. Okay. Okay. You got
Probably a good idea that you guys are presenting
It's
this,
consulting.
not the other.
Thank you.
We appreciate your guys' time.
Yeah.
Yep.
This has been fun.
Okay, with that said, thank you. That's the end of our deal. It's 8:04 for now. We're adjourned.